Ladies and gentlemen, when we talk about consumer behavior, when we talk about data insights, first of all, we need to understand that we have been doing predictive analysis till the time we were born. I tell you, there was no technology at that very point of time. There was no apps, there was no data. But we would judge from the eyes of our mother that what we are doing wrong and what we have picked wrong on a friend's place, because you will judge the behavior that is it something allowed or not. As we move forward from our personal lives, we realize that we have been predicting about the behaviors and waiting for the outcomes, and majority of the times then we judge that these outcomes are the one which are in any case something that you are looking for, following a certain pattern. When I started my career, I used to ask to the secretary outside my boss का mood कैसा है आज? Should I talk about this topic or not? Or will be the results that will be coming out of that or not will be the right one? We have been doing data analysis, predictive analysis in our lives from day one. What have changed today? And what is expectedly going to impact? Because today we have got the tools, we have got the data, we have told all the insights that we can get which can tell about a behavior. And to be honest, without knowing the end customer, who don't know to that extent that how much he's or she's being judged based on the consumer insight data that we have today. That's the kind of discussion that we will initiate today. So I'm not just starting today, and I will just talk about, first of all, consumer buying and especially patterns. How far this is important today in the market of both online and offline market that we talk about today.
So consumer buying patterns, so understanding who your consumer is, where are they consuming your content or your information about your product from, where are they placed themselves, what are their buying habits, really makes a difference on how do you target them. So like Asif was talking about in his session, in the jazz session, when he was talking about that they understand or they know data points about consumers. So we as advertisers need to pick up those data points and then start targeting a consumer based on that. So for example, if I know that my product is available in Punjab to a certain target audience, if I just go and advertise everywhere, that will not be of use, of course. So very simply and clearly put, data helps us identify who is the right target audience, what is their need, what is their reason to use our product, and then by having all of these information, this is how we go and target the consumer. So it of course affects our the deliverables that we have, it affects the results of our campaigns that we generate, and it also it affects the results of conversions that we do. So it plays a very important role, especially in the work that we do.
So just taking the discussion, Uzma, with you, she talked about that the consumer behavior can be dashed out on the patterns that we did. If this is not your product and the customer is being fulfilled through another product, will you also give the same insight to that customer? And just based on that one, what will be the data-driven marketing means for you based on these two insights?
So data-driven marketing, essentially, and very simplistically to put it, it's using data in a more relevant manner and then talking to consumers. So showing them a much more relevant ad versus talking to everyone. This is basically, just to put it, it is moving away from broad advertising or rather mass advertising to hyper-personalization. Because we know that इससे आपके results बेहतर आएंगे, आपका return on ad spend बेहतर होएगा, your ROI is going to be much better. So there's with data-driven marketing, you actually can't go wrong. It is very much targeted, it's more relevant. We're all consumers, right? At the end of the day, if I show you an ad that's something that you're looking for, you're more likely to convert, right? And maybe even make a purchase. But if I show you something that's so irrelevant to you, you're just going to pass by. And we know that as consumers today, nobody has the time. You need to have creative that is thumb stopping. You need to make them stop on your creative, and they're only going to do that when it's relevant. If it's irrelevant, you're going to lose them. So yeah.
I think the important part is about relevance. I think this is more important for us to understand what our end customers want today. And to be honest, they don't have time. They don't have time, and they want the right product at the right time, and they would go for the impulse buying. Kadri Saab, I think Khadi, one of the great examples, successful examples in our ecosystem when we talk about how successfully that business has grown, not only in Pakistan, but outside Pakistan as well. How do you see leading the IT transformation across Khadi? What are the key parameters that is leading you to the consumer behavior where you can go insights, the marketing patterns and the consumer insights to get the final results that you are looking for your organization?
Assalamu alaikum. Achha, I think just building on the analogy, maa ki aankh, right? The way your mother sees you, Kash, as a technology specialist or the brand specialist, हमारे पास वो आँख होती कि कस्टमर को देखते और पहचान जाते कि कस्टमर का बिहेवियर क्या होगा एंड हाउ द कस्टमर वुड बिहेव, राइट? So I think the most key part of this ending cycle of the consumer journey is the data itself, right? And collecting the data or getting the meaningful data, it's not an easy job, even in this technology savvy world, right? So we had to set certain parameters based on which we would be able to engage with our customers, be able to see the customer without asking for data. You cannot go and ask for the data from the consumer. So just try to figure out when I had to join Khadi, I visited one of the Khadi stores. And I could see many customers coming into the store. It was the same Dolmen Mall store. And I could see many customers coming in, buying from the store and just going out of the store. And you were not able to see what was the consumer behavior and how the consumer is behaving. So yeah, we had to put in certain technologies all across and be able to understand the consumer behavior, and based on that, be able to connect with the customer and personalize, right? I think one key to the data sanctity or data understanding of the consumer behavior is being able to analyze consumer behavior online, because in-store data collection and in-store consumer behavior identification is a possibility, but it's way too costly than how you see the consumer behavior online. So what we started doing is we started investing in technologies which can identify consumer behaviors online, be able to generate meaningful insights based on that, and then applying the same insights both online and offline as well. So if you go to khadi.com and you see certain products which you can see on top for your kind of consumer segment, might be you would go to Dolmen store, you would see the same products. आप स्टोर में ही आइडेंटिफाई नहीं कर सकते ईजिली कि किस प्रोडक्ट के साथ कंज्यूमर इज बिहेविंग और इंटरेक्टिंग मोर, but by analyzing the consumer journey online, you can identify customer demands, what customers are liking, and being able to apply the same data set or insights to your offline stores as well.
Very fair. I think we have a small video coming from Khadi which will explain the behavior that you just explained.
So this store is built on data, right? We had a store, so those of you who have visited this store, we had a store just beside this new location. We had implemented computer vision technologies into that store. We were able to identify consumer behaviors. Home के section में कौन customer जाता है, क्या route follow करता है, that all data got collected. And based on that data, this complete store was designed. So this store is outcome of those data insights. किस mannequin पे कौन सा product जाएगा, that is defined by data, right?
I think that's what our lives are today. we feel that what we see today around us is something we are exploring, but we don't realize that it is being designed for us only. I tell you one thing, we all are brands today, and we are being attracted by all these different companies as individual brands. We need personalized marketing. We need to be sure that what we want should be available to us at the right time with the right set of data, because we are going to make the decision at that very point of time. It was also discussed in the panel before, the buying and behaviors of the generations are different. The people that you see today over here, my son who's 18 years old, he has never bought a tie because he will get it from his father's wardrobe, and he thinks he will never need a tie moving forward as well. That's the kind of generation that we are entering into and also interacting as well. And we need to make sure that how we complete and we should demand what they are looking for. And that's where the data insights comes in. Overall, I'm not talking about that very friend as well. How do you see the end consumer in your eyes when you see all this marketing data that is coming to you? How do you develop different patterns and how you segment that out? That, okay, I have to fulfill the needs and demands of that segment based on the consumer insights that you get. How that segmentation is done?
So I think one of the biggest benefit of data is that you can segment the audiences based on the behavior, their needs, their interests. And then when we go and start talking to those segments or cohorts, then we talk to them in the language or the need that they have. So for example, if I am a student, so the messages that I get are relevant to me, then of course my consideration towards that product becomes even more, because that is what I want to do, or that is what my interest is in. If I'm a gamer, if the content that I see is around gaming, and that's how you've been segmented, that is exactly what my interest is, and that is how it will interest me, whatever the content is being shown. So although the consumer is seeing what they want to see, from an advertiser's point of view, we are showing the consumer what we think is the right content or right product or right message, so that the conversion happens. So in a way, we're segmenting them so that they get relevant information and we get the relevant target audiences. So having data on its own actually doesn't mean anything. Using that data in the right way, how do you segment it? How do you create the right messaging for it? How do you convert that audience from consideration to conversion? And then how do you use that data, very basic information, like for example, how do you create lookalike audiences? So if one data set has proven that it is generating results, how do you create lookalike audiences for it? So all of this is a journey that needs to happen. So just having data might not help, and we understand that we get data from multiple sources, but taking that consumer through that funnel with the right messaging, content, conversation, that is when we will get the right results out of it.
I totally agree with you. I think it was 12 years back, I went into a Teradata seminar in Dubai. And one old man in the question answer session asked that, my son is 18 years old and going into the university. And I'm talking about somewhere 2010, this question came in. He said, my son is going into the university. Can you tell me in which field he should study now that he will come out as a good product based on the market needs in next 10 years? And I still remember the answer at that point of time, that was make him a data analyst back in 2010, because now we have a lot of data. And it leads Uzma to my next question over here. Advertising, it has different means. We have been grown up through this advertising across the television commercials to the ad newspapers. Today we have all these apps and all these advertising is coming in. What is the impact on advertising on all these data insights and consumer behaviors? What has changed over time?
I think it's become a lot more meaningful now, because it is a lot about having meaningful conversations with your consumers now, instead of just showing them. Because again, हमने broad advertising करनी है. Look, we've got television for that, right? And there's nothing better than television if you want to talk to everybody. But if you want to have a more meaningful, personalized conversation, then that is what digital is supposed to be. So in our marketing campaigns, marketers should know what the role of digital is. It's very important that they know that, and they have that very clearly chalked out. This is not on basis on subjectivity or gut feels. It is actual data, and data tells you trends. Where should you be advertising? What should you be showing? Even in terms of commerce, for instance, merchandisers now have the ability to sort of talk to individual shoppers and show them a relevant offer something that they might have clicked on before, and you bring that up again, and there's a higher chance of conversion there. Versus if you start showing them everything under the sun, something they might not be interested in or might be or whatever. But if you're not essentially following your consumer as well, and you're not really retargeting to them either, you're losing it over there as well. So, in essence, DDM, data-driven marketing, it's a big procedure, and it's easier said than done, but it requires, it requires a detailed data tech suite of tools and having the right capability and skill set. But that, in essence, is how data-driven marketing can really help us.
Very well explained. Ryansu, coming to you, and after this one, I will go into the questions that are there on the board. But just coming to that one, specifically talking about, tell us some examples where the data-driven consumer behaviors has really helped, and that is one of the questions on the board as well, increasing the revenue of the company over there as well. So if you can come up with some examples where it has really practically helped in the Pakistani ecosystem and environment.
Okay. So working with lot many consumers, lot many customers, I think especially with the Gen Zs and the new generation, every customer that you interact with, they expect that you know them. This is a default expectation of any Gen Z. And they expect that you will be able to personalize their customer journeys and the way of interaction with them based on how you know them, right? So I'll share a few examples. I think one of the core examples of how the data has created a competitive organizations. Core example is Amazon, right? So Amazon itself, if you keep aside the technology and products, I think it's all about the competitive edge. These organizations like Amazon, Walmart, and even Walgreen, we were discussing. I had that experience with Walgreen as well. So what they do is they collect your information and be able to create or curate the customer journeys and engagement and interaction based on how you interact with them, and even sometimes how you interact with the competitive brands even, right? And they improve that experience. So I'll give you one example from Khadi. When we opened up our stores in UK, so being a Pakistani brand, we started sort of targeting customers, the same techniques, same technology, same tools, sort of classifying the customers with the same techniques which we used to do for Pakistan, and it was not working. And we were surprised that we are talking to Pakistanis, 80% of the population is Pakistani, something is working in Pakistan, the customers are loving us, why the revenues are not generating, right? This is where we started investing in some technologies on our online platforms. We started sort of learning customer behaviors. Pakistan mein e-commerce mein, I'm not sure whether you would agree or not. Online, Pakistani customers are living in Pakistan are very sale oriented, right? So you would get many customers engaged when you announce a sale. Khadi is probably not kind of a brand who would do the dilution. But when we started communicating with the customers in UK similar fashion, we started facing problems. We were not doing that great. But then we started changing our communication and engagement with the customers. We started personalizing the behaviors right there online. And with GDPR compliance, it was even more difficult to be able to identify customers. But then we started sort of our UK marketing strategy, UK personalization strategy is 180 degrees different from Pakistan. And this is where we started building our market in UK. UK is doing great for Khadi. And this is where the data helped us identifying consumer behaviors and behaving differently for that kind of a consumer, even that consumer was a Pakistani, same age in Pakistan behaving differently, same age of the consumer in UK behaving differently. Yeah, so that's the key. You have to personalize the experiences for the consumer, and that can only happen based on data.
Absolutely right. I think very good example over there. I will start the first question from you again, and I will take it from the board over there. Where is the boundary between gathering data for insight and infringement from the privacy? That's a burning question for all of us. Do we really want to be judged on the data for the sake of a revenue of the company that you are trying to generate? That's a consumer question.
No. In order to respond to that, you have to keep yourself in the consumer shoes, right? If any activity that is signaling out that kind of a consumer rather than segmenting that consumer, that is infringement of privacy, right? And as I mentioned, Pakistan, it's way too easy. Pakistan, even one of my colleagues, when was the panel, we are watching you, this is not on. So if I'm a consumer, someone is saying me that I know which app you would install, where were you in the morning, I would get a little uncomfortable, right? So as a brand, we also follow this strategy of not signaling out that kind of a consumer. We utilize the behaviors only in order to ensure that we are able to provide that kind of a journey to the consumer. Going deep dive and infringing with the consumer lives. I'll just say one quote. I attended a conference in 2015, and it was Director FBI in New York who was there on the stage, almost 1,000 audience, and he just said one quote, that my refrigerator knows more about me than my wife. And everyone just got confused that how does a refrigerator would know about a person more than a wife? And this is true. So more data, wife cannot collect those much data points, cannot track you, cannot trace you to that level where a smart device can track you, right? So this is a social responsibility on brands as well, social responsibility on the technology partners as well, that you have to make sure that the insight should not go into that boundary where you are even tracking the behaviors of one single consumer. You have to make sure that you need that data for creating a segmentation of the consumer for the benefit of the consumer.
There was one question which has gone over there next, but which is the best technology for the analytics? Being a very selfish salesperson, I will say SAP is the best technology over there. But being on this panel, I will say all the big companies, including Microsoft, Oracle, SAPs, they are providing Googles, they are providing very good analytical solutions. It all depends what is your market. Use all of them and you can get the best results out of there as well. Usma, coming to your last question over there, when the people are questioning on that, was about consumer experience. It just passed over there. How much value proposition in Unilever is about customer experience, and are you especially not only on the digital or data, in order to complete that consumer experience, are the companies investing especially for that consumer experience?
Absolutely, because if you don't invest in that consumer experience and if you ruin that consumer experience once, you're essentially not ruining just one consumer or sort of ruining your relationship with that particular one consumer. It just flows on. You don't want to do that. Therefore, even at Unilever, we're very clear in terms of making sure that our consents are in place. The consumer journey has to be shortened up so that, again, do not ruin the consumer experience. Too many movements, too many out-of-environment movements. I think all of this just really, really ruins your entire experience. And I think more than that, I think there's also one more thing in terms of, when somebody sort of lands on your platform or website or whatever, I think the next step into all of this is really in terms of personalizing the interface that they're seeing. And because that in essence really, really is probably the pinnacle of personalization, where they know that, okay, basis my interests and basis whatever I've sort of been doing online, they know so much more about me that whenever I'm sort of going on their platform, they're actually showing me something so much more relevant than just very generic stuff. So, absolutely.
I remember there was a study over again where the Amazon guys did that on the store over there, that if we will just name the customer and we know exactly when he has entered over there and just name them with their name, the huge pleasant experience that he gets out of that one, that this person sitting on the counter knows my name, has such a big impact on the experience that we talk about and the player over here. Last question to you, Amna. आजकल हम देखते हैं कि हम किसी रेस्टोरेंट में चले जाएं, हम किसी कॉल को एंड करें, उसके बाद एक फीडबैक पूछा जाता है एंड दैट इज़ अबाउट आपको वो कॉल कैसी लगी, आपको वो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा लगा, आपको क्या चीज़ें. एंड टू बी ऑनेस्ट, आई हैव सीन पीपल आर ग्रोइंग विद दैट एक्सपीरियंस एंड गिविंग अ वेरी right feedback. It's not necessarily that you like it or not, but what they feel, they give that one. How the companies are using this consumer feedback to improve themselves for better consumer experience?
So the first thing is that the company gather that data and actually look at the results and agree that, okay, the consumer is giving them feedback and they need to sort of take action on it. Once they're clear on the agenda, then that data provides you very good insights in terms of, for example, if it's a restaurant, on food, on service, on the ambience, and then incorporating that data back into your processes or your menu or your hotel or whatever you have. So feedback, just for the sake of having an end note, should not be there. It should be because that you have that open mind that you will take that feedback, because initially earlier people would not give that feedback, but now people know that in the modern day of social media and digital, feedbacks are taken very importantly. So yeah, so using that data and then plugging it back into the system is what is more important. And whenever we see that this happens, the service quality or the experience becomes better. Like what Uzma is saying. So when we land onto a website, if we have a personalized experience, or maybe something that we pointed out last time is now fixed, so that gives you a sense of belonging, a sense that the party that you're talking to is actually listening to you. And that is what people are looking at in this day and age, when it is the day and age of personalization and, is direct conversations.
Thank you very much, panelists. Just summarizing, this is the time of data. We all have a lot of data. What we don't know is what to do with this data. When we talk about the companies, they have the tools and they can utilize these tools to give you the best analytical results through which they can do predictive analysis, and they can judge the behaviors of their consumers, and they can come up with the best products that suits you over there, but that are companies. I think we have all the analytic tools that can help us in also analyzing ourselves and see what our requirements are, what our choices are. Our behaviors are driven by us, and it's very important to understand that one through these analytics tools, which can help you get the best business choices for yourself and for your companies, and that's what it will continue as well. This thing that has started in terms of data analytics and consumer insights and the behaviors is we are just at the start of it. आई विल बी ऑनेस्ट, पाकिस्तान के अंदर अभी उतनी तहकीक उस जगह तक नहीं पहुंची जहां तक हम इससे बेहतरीन फ़ायदा उठा सकते हैं. आई थिंक वी हैव द डेटा, वी नीड द एनालिस्ट, एंड वी आर द वंस दैट विल रियली बी रिक्वायरिंग टू गेट द बेस्ट यूज आउट ऑफ दैट वन. इतना डाटा इकट्ठा हो गया है कि हमें अभी अब समझ नहीं आ रही कि इसकी बेस्ट यूटिलाइजेशन क्या करनी है, एंड दैट्स वेयर वी नीड द कंपनीज, दैट वी वेयर नीड द टूल्स एज वेल. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for being the best diversified panel till now of this group as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And with that, can I request Mr. Ijlal Jafri, Group CIO, Martindo, please give an honor to present the memento to our panelists.